The cast iron skillet sitting in your cabinet right now contains no chemicals, no coatings, and nothing that will ever need to be replaced. The nonstick pan next to it contains a compound that was found in the blood of 98% of Americans, was linked to cancer in federal court, and killed the cattle of 70,000 people in West Virginia, while DuPont's lawyers buried the evidence for 50 years. The Amish have been cooking on cast iron since before your great-grandparents were born. They have never switched. They have never thrown one away. And a method that costs $3 will restore any rusted skillet to a condition that outperforms anything you can buy new today. Here is everything they know, and everything the cookware industry spent decades making sure you never found out. A method that costs less than $3 and takes one afternoon will restore any cast iron pan to a condition that outperforms a brand new $60 skillet from the store. The Amish communities in Lancaster County and Holmes County have been using variations of this method since before your great-grandparents were born. They have never thrown away a single pan, not one. There is a reason the Amish never switched to anything else, and it is not stubbornness. It is not tradition for the sake of tradition. The Amish cook every single meal on wood-burning stoves and masonry heaters, no electric burners, no gas ranges, no induction cooktops, no microwave. Cast iron is not a preference for them. It is the only tool that works. It handles direct flame. It moves from stovetop to oven to table. It does not warp. It does not crack. It does not peel or flake mysterious chemicals into your food. A woman named Rosanna Baumann, a member of the Old German Baptist Brethren community in Kansas, wrote a column for Amish 365, one of the few windows into real Amish daily life, and she said something that stuck with me for months. She said, "Good cast iron is nearly everlasting." Nearly everlasting. Think about that. When was the last time you heard anyone describe something in your kitchen that way? Everything else you buy is designed to wear out. The nonstick coating peels after 2 years. The ceramic chips. The stainless steel warps if you look at it wrong. But a cast iron skillet made in 1920 still works today. Not as a decoration, not as a collector's item, as a daily use cooking tool that outperforms what you can buy new right now. The Amish families I visited passed their cast iron down the same way they passed down land in a will. That is not a metaphor. That is a documented practice in Lancaster County. A skillet goes into the estate because it has real, functional value 100 years after it was made. Your grandchildren will never inherit your nonstick pan. It will be in a landfill before your grandchildren learn to walk. But here is where the story takes a turn that nobody in the cookware industry wants you to follow. There was a time in America when cast iron skillets were made differently. Not just better, fundamentally differently. And the companies that made them were systematically dismantled over 4 decades. This is not conspiracy. This is public corporate record. Griswold Manufacturing Company was founded in Erie, Pennsylvania in 1865. For nearly a century, it was the gold standard for cast iron in America. Wagner Manufacturing started in 1,891 inches, Sydney, Ohio, right in the heart of your country, right in the middle of the audience watching this video right now. Both companies did something after casting their skillets that no major manufacturer does today. They polished the cooking surface by hand. After the iron was poured and the mold was broken, a worker took that skillet and ground the cooking surface until it was completely smooth. That extra step, that hand polishing, created a naturally non-stick surface without any chemical coating. No Teflon, no ceramic, no spray, just smooth iron that, once seasoned, released food as cleanly as anything made in a laboratory. Those skillets were extraordinary. And they are gone. In 1952, the Randall Corporation bought Wagner. 5 years later, in 1957, Randall bought Griswold and shut down the Erie plant. One signature on one contract and the best cast iron factory in America went dark. Randall was sold to Textron in 1959. General Housewares Corporation picked up both brands in 1969. Production quality dropped with every transaction. By 1996, real production had stopped entirely. The last Wagner furnace shut down in 1999. 134 years of American manufacturing ended not by foreign competition, not by a better product, not because people stopped wanting cast iron. Ended by corporate consolidation. Boardroom decisions made by people who never cooked a meal in their lives. The first time I sat down for dinner in an Amish farmhouse outside of Millersburg, Ohio, the woman cooking handed me a skillet to carry to the table, and I swear that thing was smoother than glass. I asked her how old it was. She said it was her grandmother's grandmother's. 5 generations. And by the end of this video, I am going to show you a technique pulled from a study buried in the Journal of the American Dietetic Association from 1986 that not only saves your cast iron, it turns it into something the cookware industry never wanted you to know it could be. And you do not need a new pan, you do not need a new kitchen, you need what you already own and about 20 minutes of patience. And what filled the gap? What replaced hand-polished, mirror-smooth, American-made cast iron? 2 things. And neither one was good for you. The first was Lodge. Lodge is practically the only American cast iron manufacturer left. Their skillets retail for $30 to $60, but Lodge has never hand-polished their cooking surfaces. What you get from Lodge is the raw, rough, pebbly texture of sand cast iron straight out of the mold. It works. It is not garbage, but it is not what Griswold and Wagner made. A Lodge skillet is a compromise, and they charge you full price for it. Their enamel-coated line is manufactured in China. That is the state of American cast iron in the 21st century. The second thing that filled the gap is the one I need you to hear clearly, because this is where the money trail gets ugly. Teflon was discovered accidentally by DuPont in 1938. By the 1940s, right as Griswold and Wagner were beginning their decline, DuPont started pushing Teflon-coated cookware into American kitchens. The timing was not coincidence. As quality cast iron disappeared from stores, non-stick coatings appeared on shelves. The message was simple. Cast iron is old-fashioned. Cast iron is heavy. Cast iron rusts. Buy this instead. It is modern. It is easy. It is better. It was not better. Teflon is made with PTFE, polytetrafluoroethylene. For decades, the manufacturing process required a chemical called PFOA, perfluorooctanoic acid. DuPont knew that PFOA was dangerous. Internal documents show they tracked health problems among their own factory workers as early as the 1960s. They did not stop. They did not warn anyone. In Parkersburg, West Virginia, DuPont's manufacturing plant dumped PFOA into the water supply for decades. 70,000 people drank contaminated water. More than 150 cattle died after drinking from a creek near a DuPont waste site. The cows were found with blackened organs and green-tinted teeth. Farmers who had worked that land for generations watched their herds die and had no idea why. Before I walk you through the full restoration method, I put together a complete guide, the Amish Home System, everything from cast iron to wood treatment to energy. It is in the description, but stay here because what comes next is the part the cookware industry has never wanted you to see. This was not a rumor. This went to federal court. The story became the subject of 2 films, Dark Waters and The Devil We Know. The science panels established by the settlement linked PFOA exposure to kidney cancer, testicular cancer, thyroid disease, liver disease, infertility, and low birth weight. The Centers for Disease Control tested the blood of the American population. PFOA was found in 98% of Americans. 98%. That is not an industrial accident. That is a national contamination event carried out in slow motion over 50 years. DuPont eventually stopped using PFOA in 2013, but the replacement chemicals, the ones they now call PFOA-free, are part of the same PFAS family. In 2023, Consumer Reports tested dozens of so-called PFOA-free nonstick pans and found measurable levels of PFAS in the coatings. 79% of all nonstick pans on the market were still coated with PTFE. The label changed, the chemistry barely did, and here is the detail that stops people cold when I tell them at the hardware store. If you have a pet bird, a parrot, a parakeet, a cockatiel, anything with feathers, and you heat a Teflon pan in the same room, the fumes can kill that bird. Their lungs hemorrhage, they fill with fluid. The bird dies. Veterinarians have documented this for years. They call it Teflon toxicosis. The fumes that kill a bird in minutes are the same fumes you inhale at lower concentrations every time you cook on a nonstick surface above 500 degrees. Most people regularly cook at temperatures above that threshold without realizing it. So let me put this together for you. The hand-polished cast iron that worked perfectly for a century was destroyed by corporate mergers. The chemical-coated replacement that filled the shelves was manufactured by a company that poisoned 70,000 people and hid the evidence for decades. And the Amish, the people everyone calls backward, were the ones who never switched. They kept cooking on the same skillets their great-grandmothers used. No chemicals, no contamination, no planned obsolescence. Now, if you already have cast iron sitting in your kitchen, maybe it is rusted, maybe it is your mother's old skillet, maybe you grabbed one at a yard sale for $2 and it is covered in crud. Stay with me, because this next part is specifically for you. You do not need to buy anything new. You do not need a restoration service. You do not need to spend more than the cost of a box of tea bags. For light rust, the kind that is just a thin orange film on the surface, you need two things: cooking oil and coarse salt. Kosher salt works perfectly. Pour a tablespoon of oil and a tablespoon of salt into the pan. Take a rag or a paper towel and scrub. The salt acts as a natural abrasive. It lifts the surface rust without scratching the iron underneath. Rinse with hot water. Dry the pan, immediately put it on the burner for 2 minutes until any remaining moisture evaporates. Then wipe a thin coat of oil over the entire surface. Done. That skillet is back in service. For moderate rust, the kind that is built up over months or years in a damp cabinet, the kind that is rough to the touch and flaking, this is where the method that costs $3 comes in. You need black tea, regular black tea, 4 bags. Boil 2 cups of water and steep those bags for 30 minutes. You want it dark, almost black. That concentrated tea is full of tannic acid, a natural compound found in tree bark, tea leaves, and oak wood. Here is the chemistry, and it matters. Tannic acid does not remove rust. It converts rust. Iron oxide, the orange crumbling stuff on your pan, reacts with tannic acid and becomes ferric tannate. Ferric tannate is a stable, dark blue-black compound that bonds to the surface of the iron. It does not flake, it does not spread, it actually protects the metal underneath from future oxidation. Soak a cotton rag in that concentrated tea and wipe it directly onto the rusted areas. Within 10 to 15 minutes, you will see the color change. Orange-brown turns to blue-black right in front of you. Let it dry for 2 to 4 hours. Apply a second coat. Then put that skillet in the oven at 350 degrees for 1 hour. The heat seals the conversion. When it comes out, the surface is ready for reseasoning. For severe rust, the kind where the skillet looks like it spent a decade in a barn, you need vinegar. Mix equal parts white vinegar and water. Submerge the pan. But here is the critical rule that most people get wrong. Do not leave it in for more than 30 minutes. Vinegar is acetic acid. It dissolves iron oxide, yes, but after 30 minutes it starts dissolving the good iron too. Pull the pan out at the 30-minute mark. Scrub immediately with steel wool. Rinse, dry on the burner, and move straight to reseasoning. The reseasoning process is where most people fail, and it is not complicated. They just use too much oil. Take flaxseed oil or grapeseed oil, either one. Put a tiny amount on a rag. Wipe the entire pan inside, outside, handle, everything. Then take a clean, dry rag and wipe it all off. You want the thinnest possible layer. If you can see oil pooling or dripping, you use too much. Place the skillet upside down in the oven at 450 degrees for 1 hour. Let it cool inside the oven. Do not open the door. Repeat this process 3 to 5 times for a new pan or a heavily restored one. Each layer builds polymer, not oil polymer. The heat transforms the oil into a hard, plastic-like coating that is bonded to the iron at the molecular level. That is your nonstick surface. No chemicals, no factory, no expiration date. And this is where the soap myth falls apart and I love this one because it surprises everyone. You have heard the rule, never use soap on cast iron. Your grandmother probably told you. The Amish certainly followed it, but here is why. The original rule existed because soap, real old-fashioned soap, was made with lye, sodium hydroxide. The Amish made their own soap at home, and it was strong enough to strip the seasoning right off the iron. So the rule was absolutely correct for their soap and their time. Modern dish soap does not contain lye. It has not contained lye since the 1930s. A researcher at Virginia Tech confirmed that seasoning is polymerized oil, a hard polymer coating. Mild modern dish soap cannot break down a polymer any more than it can dissolve a plastic cutting board. The Amish rule was right for the Amish era. Your era is different. A drop of dish soap and warm water will not hurt a properly seasoned skillet. Now, the reason I told you to watch to the end, this is the part I did not know until I started digging into the research for this video, and it changed how I think about cast iron completely. In 1986, a study was published in the Journal of the American Dietetic Association. Researchers cooked common foods in cast iron skillets and measured the iron content before and after. What they found was remarkable. Tomato sauce cooked in cast iron went from less than 1 milligram of iron per serving to nearly 6 milligrams. That is a 500% increase in dietary iron from doing nothing different except choosing the right pan. Acidic foods, tomato sauce, applesauce, anything with vinegar pulled the most iron from the cooking surface. The more acidic the food, the more iron transferred into the meal. Now here is where the story gets dark. What does the cookware industry tell you about cooking acidic foods in cast iron? They tell you not to do it. Every major brand, every cooking website, every product guide says the same thing: avoid cooking acidic foods in cast iron because it damages the seasoning, and that is technically true. Acidic foods can thin the seasoning layer over time if you do not reseason regularly, but think about what they are really telling you. They are telling you to avoid the exact foods that turn your skillet into a free dietary supplement. For men over 65, low iron levels are one of the most common nutritional deficiencies. Fatigue, weakness, cognitive decline, all linked to low iron. And every time you cook tomato sauce in a cast iron skillet, you are adding real, bioavailable iron to your diet without a pill, without a supplement, without a doctor's visit. The pan does it for you. The Amish have been getting this benefit for 2 centuries without knowing the science. They just knew the food tasted better, they knew the pan lasted forever. And they never had a reason to switch because nobody could sell them a replacement that actually improved their lives. That is the real story here. A $3 box of tea bags and an afternoon of your time will restore a skillet that your grandchildren will cook on, the same skillet that adds iron to your food every time you use it, the same skillet that contains 0 chemicals that show up in your blood, 0 coatings that kill birds, 0 materials linked to cancer in federal court, a technology so simple and so effective that the only way to sell you something else was to stop making it and replace it with poison. A Griswold No. 8 from the 1920s, the kind with the hand-polished cooking surface found at a garage sale for $3 will outperform a brand new Lodge skillet that costs $45. That is not nostalgia talking. That is why collectors hunt for them at every estate sale and thrift store in Ohio and Pennsylvania. They know what they are holding. A piece of American manufacturing that was better than anything that came after it, killed not by progress but by profit. The Amish did not preserve cast iron because they are old-fashioned. They preserved it because they are smart. Because when you do not have a store to run to and you do not have money to waste, you learn what actually works and you hold on to it with both hands. Their kitchens are not museums. Their kitchens are proof that the best technology is the technology that never breaks, never poisons you, and never needs to be replaced. So here is what I want you to do. If you have a cast iron skillet, rusted, neglected, shoved in the back of a cabinet, sitting in a box in the garage, do not throw it away. Steep 4 bags of black tea, wipe it down, put it in the oven, give it 3 coats of oil, and cook your next meal in a pan that might outlive your house. If you are the kind of person who believes the best things in life were built to last and the worst things were built to be replaced, you already understand why this matters. The companies that made the best cast iron in America are gone. The companies that replaced them sold you chemicals. The people who never switched were the people everybody called backward. Think about that. Drop your state in the comments and tell me, do you still have a cast iron skillet that belonged to your grandparents? I want to know where these pans survived. Because in the next video, I am going to show you what the Amish do with wood ash that every homeowner in America throws away, and the number of uses will make you furious at how much money you have wasted on products that a fireplace could have replaced for free. Hit subscribe so you do not miss that one. This knowledge is not going to stay buried forever.